Welcome. In this lecture of Down to Earth, we would first talk about the climate justice. So, Gabon is one of the countries which had remained carbon neutral and aims to be till 2050. Only 4% of the contribution is done through Africa. However, the impacts on Africa because of climate change are extremely high. So that is one of the major concerns that we need to understand. The next is Chile, the free market economy in Chile. Now, Chile is one of the countries which is responsible for 1/3 of the copper production globally and also for the lithium production, which is required for electrification of vehicles, electric vehicles, and Chile stands the largest producer for that. In terms of GDP, 10% of the GDP of China comes from mining itself. China and United States have been adversely affected by heat waves. It is believed that China had recently ordered its provinces to stop industrial use for a period of 5 days so that energy could be available to the domestic purpose or the household purpose. So, halting the production actually decreases the supply chain and brings up the prices as well. Heat waves are not only a feature which has been witnessed in China, also in California we have seen severe heat waves. The concept of heat dome and heat waves we have covered separately in one of the videos, so again important. Now the Greenland's ice is melting. It is accounted that 1 millimeter rise in the global sea level has occurred in the last decade, and it is believed that by 2100 there would be 10 to 15 centimeter rise in the sea level. Also, there are various other issues that we need to focus on. For example, the cost of credit. The collateral free loan limit for short term agricultural credit has been increased from 1 lakh to 1.6 lakhs. Now, landowners, tenants are all eligible for the Kisan credit cards, and they cover the marginal as well as the small farmers also. The credit has seen a sharp increase. So the number of operational credit cards have increased significantly. As you can compare the graph from 2013 to 2021, there has been a significant increase. Now another important idea is ozone. As we know, in lower atmosphere it's cancerous, it's harmful. However, in upper atmosphere, that is the stratosphere, it protects the harmful ultraviolet B radiations from entering into. Now the wildfire is actually affecting the ozone worse because it releases black carbon. The black carbon remains in the atmosphere for long and widens the ozone hole. The burning has led to nearly in Australia itself nearly 33 million hectares have been burnt, and this has killed or displaced nearly 3 billion animals. So that's just about Australia. We can understand the impact in other countries as well. So there have been recent efforts that extreme wildfires should be controlled. If not, it would actually the frequencies would go by 30% by 2050, and this would be further detrimental to the ozone layer. The next important topic is healthcare. There is a missing middle class in India. Why do we say so? Because the poor has been given the Jan Arogya Yojana scheme. The rich can afford the health insurance. What about the middle class? They do not have health facilities, and Niti Aayog's report has said that 30% of the Indians actually do not have health insurance for them. Now, for them, the only option that remains is crowdfunding. That means getting donations for expensive and emergency medical treatments. There are various platforms which are working with angel investors to bring in crowdfunding for medical treatments, but there are issues. The donors' details have to be safeguarded. There is no proper framework, no roles and responsibilities of the platform, no disclosure, no proper structure. So definitely, if this idea has to go forward, there have to be urgent ways to introduce policy regulations for the same. Now the millets are again important. In Odisha we have the millet mission, which was started in 2017 with 7 millets. These are ragi, little finger, the little millet, finger millet, kodo millet, barnyard millet, sorghum, pearl millet as some of those. Now these 7 millets are the basis for 5 lakh farmers of Odisha who are actually working in the rain deficit areas. Now this is again important because this brings in nutrients like calcium, iron and protein for the people and brings in a good future options, right? The next is in the region of Jharkhand, we have seen extensive droughts. Also, post-pandemic, we have seen people moving out from the region. This has led to disaster in the region. Under the reports, we have seen that this is after Bihar, the second state which has one of the poorest state as per the Niti Aayog Multidimensional Poverty Index, with a compulsive agrarian structure and a poor system that thrives. This has become again important. The next is the drought conditions. Now, drought conditions are not specific to one country or one territory. They are seen globally across the world. We have witnessed that in China, there had been a nationwide drought alert on 19th of August, which talked about severe heat waves for months. Similarly, there were drones which were released for artificial rainfall in the regions of China in certain provinces of Xinjiang. South America, Chile has witnessed worst drought in the last 13 years, and this is considered as the longest period in the last millennium. Similar cases have been seen in La Plata River Basin. Extension of Yangtze River has gone dry in China. There have been constant droughts in the Nordic areas of Denmark, Finland, Sweden, where they have abundant water resources. Central Eastern Europe is facing extreme heat waves, dry conditions, which used to be normally more wetter than normal. So there again, there have been significant conditions. So as you can see, the drought indicators and the projected frequencies of drought, how they are rising across the Nordic nations, and the impact of the rise of the mean monthly temperatures pre-industrial period to post-industrial period. You can see the difference. Now, again in Europe, there are drier than normal conditions. Azora High is one of the reasons attributed to it, which is a persistent high pressure system in the North Atlantic area, and this actually acts as a gatekeeper for precipitations in the region of Europe. The next is conflict which arises where political parties are focusing on the concept of freebies versus welfare. Now, welfare is considered as a constitutional duty by the government, but distribution of freebies, which is at the money of the taxpayers, is not considered as a good option. Now, there are various schemes through which the people are getting benefited. Support and incentive schemes have been there, which are centrally sponsored and needs to be running. Now, if we see about various schemes, for example, in Jharkhand, Guruji credit card offers loans up to 10 lakh at low interest. In Bihar, Sashakt Mahila, Saksham Mahila is a program which gives cash incentives to girls who complete their education and graduation. In Rajasthan, it is under the name of Indira Gandhi Matritva Poshan Yojana on the birth of second child. In Andhra Pradesh, there is for self-help groups under the Asra scheme. So those are some of the important things that we need to understand. Now, providing subsidized food grains. 80% of Indians have access to subsidized food grains. 90 million households avail the subsidized LPG connections. Now, this actually needs to be checked, and we need to have a proper thought between what is a freebie, what is a welfare, and how these needs to be taken forward. The next is forest fires. Forest fires have got wild over the years. Twice as much as tree cover has been destroyed in the present years as beyond 20 years back. So forest fires account for nearly 1/4 of the global loss of the trees, and as you can see, from 2011 to 2021 there has been doubling of the forest fires which are witnessed. So there have to be bringing in various rules and regulations and management policies for the same. The next is the lawsuit which has recently been brought by Moderna, and Moderna, which is the gatekeeper for mRNA technology, which is considered as a future for prevention of infectious diseases like HIV autoimmune disorders. So it has filed infringement suit against Pfizer Biotech, and this has been running since long, finally taking into more aggressive steps. Wilson's disease is a genetic disease which is caused due to accumulation of copper in the body. Then we have deadlines for installation of pollution control technology in the thermal plants in India, and that is mainly to reduce the sulfur dioxide pollution in India. Similarly, in Pakistan, recent flooding had been witnessed, and this has led to food and financial crisis in the regions. In the region of Zaporizhia in Ukraine, nuclear power plant control must be checked because of the Russian military attacks. Zimbabwe relocation of wildlife and animals to the southern reserve, from the southern reserve area to the northern areas is done, and with the idea of protecting the wild species and the endangered species under IUCN classification. There is another damage from the under construction of the Vishnugud Pipalkoti HEP project in Chamoli. This was funded by World Bank, and this has actually led to relocation forcefully for the common people. It has affected the livelihood and has also led to extreme weather conditions in the region. So those were some of the important topics that we have discussed under Down to Earth for this month. If you have any questions or queries, feel free to communicate to us, and follow the links below for the complete handouts for Down to Earth for free.